GM, we are live, and we are already semi in progress. I hopped into a BBM to get in with all of you, and it was waiting for 10. So then I said, well, what's the Chow Chow at? And I was number 12 in the Chow Chow. So this is a Chow Chow. This is my first Chow Chow of the year. This one is the $50 15 max, 50K up top. So, yep, haven't done any of these. It looks like the min cash is just slightly more than your initial buy-in. So all the money in this one really is in the final. But we're here at the 4-hole. Excuse me. I started talking and I had to clear my throat there. All right, so we're here in the 4-hole. Apologies for kind of rugging you all. I wanted to alert you all so you could hop in, but we're already off and running. GM Skeletor, thank you so much for coming in. Let me make my pick. Oof. Now, here's the question. Do we take Jefferson or are we cowards? I'm going to take Saquon. I'm going to be a little bit of a coward here with this pick. I like Saquon. I mean, he was the number 2 for much of the summer until people got tired of drafting him. So I'm just going to pretend that Jefferson wasn't there. Greg, GM, Mr. Candles, happy morning. Hey, thanks for hopping in this morning. Again, I wish I could have sent out the bat signal, gotten some of you all in, but we're already rocking and rolling. Best ball and call. Ask what percentage. Chow. Let me check after. Give me 1 sec. I'll check that. Crander, GM to you. Greg says it's high, 72% in the Chow, 90 in the Pomeranian. Okay, so thanks, Greg, for looking at that. Let me get the ducks going. Again, I thought we were going to have a couple minutes to talk about everything. B Grandy, GM to you. Thanks so much for coming in this morning. Yeah, so again, I'm surprised this was like ready to go at 8:30 in the morning, but I guess when you're at a 72% fill rate, people love these contests, right? These sort of time boxed 15, 25 max. I mean, people just crank them out so fast. So unless underdog sizes them like too big, kind of like they did with the Greyhound was definitely larger than it needed to be. It took a while to fill because it was single entry, and I guess they kind of overestimated how many slappies there were for to fill that one. I mean, it ultimately did fill, but I imagine it probably took longer than they were anticipating. But this one, I mean, they have been filling these contests in 1-2 days. A lot of these, German Shepherd, what was the other one that I can't remember all these dog breeds. I get them all mixed up, but there was one where I was in, a non-underdog state for the weekend, and it launched while I was there and it filled before I came back, and it wasn't even like away that long. So the thirst is real. All right, so we've got a couple options here. I'm just going to go by ADP. I haven't updated the ranks since we got a lot of the news. I think Mixon might still be kind of high on these, so I need to be careful I don't time out. We'll just take Lad. I think Lad Saquon is a nice little start. I'll keep the board up so people can see what's going on. Looking at these names, I recognize OMG, but I don't think I actually know who they are, but I know I've drafted with them before. And nobody else is sticking out as anyone I particularly recognize. Joel Worth, GM, thank you so much for coming in this morning and hanging out. Greg says the advance looks awesome in that, not getting involved, but it's 2 of 12, 2 of 10. Greg says 2 of 12, 2 of 8, 2 of 8, even better. Yeah, that's the thing about these small dollar contests, right? And if your choice is 2 BBMs or 1 Chow Chow, it's like probably the Chow Chow is just a better use of your money. I mean, you're not gonna, get life-changing money from winning the Chow Chow, but your odds of a big cash are just so much higher than they are in Best Ball Mania, where the contest is, I don't know, 30 times bigger or something. Okay, so we've got Saquon and Lad. The question is, are we going RB receiver? I think we'll just take Chase Brown. We'll continue to kind of value hound this morning after taking Saquon over Jefferson. We'll keep this train rolling with the running backs. On this side of the board, with Mixon plummeting and with Judkins, going way later, running back can get a little dicey on you. Whereas I think this this kind of 50 to 80 range is pretty fertile ground. When you get the 40s are awesome. Like this Metcalf all the way to You have a lot of you have a lot of wide receivers you're really into, whereas the running backs around 60, you start getting a little sweaty. Mixon again, this is kind of a fake ADP. He goes a lot later. I've cooled a little bit on Caleb. I like him. I'm still taking him, but I worry that we're projecting him a little more than he's going to get. I do think Gainwell is going to be a little bit of a thorn in everybody's side. I think Caleb is going to be the lead back there ultimately, but I don't know if I was taking that with a little too much certainty compared to maybe like Pacheco. I like Pacheco a lot at 75. And then you get past that and the backfield start becoming more and more split all the way at 75. So that's a long way of saying I kind of like getting out of that before I hit that range. I don't want to need those running backs to be hitting my lineup unless I'm doing like a zero RB strategy. Hey, DQ105. Hello, GM. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, RBs are flying up the board. They really, really are. I mean, Hampton at 34 is like good value nowadays. He's been going earlier than that, which is just absolutely crazy. But honestly, it makes sense. I mean, what a great situation for him. I'm still not quite in on Rashee Rice there. This being a single entry, I kind of want to get my guys a little bit, but I'm going to take Metcalf here. Again, I have so much Jameson Williams. I kind of want that to flatten out a little bit. All of these guys, this is such a nice range. If you can get out of here with two of, McMillan, Metcalf, JMO, and Pickens, that's pretty awesome. It's, unlikely, at 52, I probably won't get another one of those. But again, this next tier down with Waddle, Flowers, Ridley, another really nice range of wide receivers. So again, that's why I kind of lean towards taking Brown where I did. I don't mind Hubbard. I don't mind Connor. But I think the 2v2s, when you look at them, are pretty, are at least slightly tilted towards taking the running back first. But not that I do it every time. I would love to get JMO here. If I don't get JMO, then I'm going to have to think about who I want. I do get JMO. All right, that's awesome. I love Jameson Williams, and I don't think I'm going to get in more than 3 of these Chow Chows with how fast it's filling. I did not plan to max it, so I'm not worried about that or anything. But definitely happy with the start. We've got a 0-2-3-0 with Saquon and Chase Brown at running back, Ladd, Metcalf, and Jameson Williams at receiver. All right, let's see. Greg says running back for sure is getting crazy. Kind of kicking myself for not leaning into more running back heavy early. Yeah, it's hard to know, right? Like I'm a little surprised with how much running backs have flown up, but it just feels like the meta has shifted, and I don't know if it's just Judkins and Mixon falling combined with Rice falling, out of that range. I guess I would have expected maybe if Rice went out to pull some of the other receivers in, but that hasn't really happened. It's definitely been more, I guess the running back scarcity has really, kind of led people to push them up, sort of how, George Kittle's a big riser. It kind of feels like it may have pushed Trey McBride back towards this 1-2 turn. McBride and Bowers were starting to slip. I feel like that's kind of stopped a little bit lately, but you will occasionally get a McBride slide, but he's been pretty much anchored to this picks 1 and 2 very frequently, and that's likely due to being tied to the week 17 Bengals game. Greg says kind of should have seen it coming. The normal folks are showing up for the season. That's fair. Normies do have a reputation for being a little more running back centric than us. I don't think I'm going to protect the integrity of the Chow Chow. So it does look like the 1 hole because the 2 and 3 already have quarterbacks. I could take Burrow because I do have Chase Brown. I could do that. But I think I'm just going to lock up another receiver. I guess I'll lean Caleb over Swift. No, I'm taking Swift here. We'll do a Swift team. Again, to mix up the exposures a little bit. I have a lot of Pacheco. I realized in my 5-5-5s on DK, I've done 5 of them. I have Pacheco in 4 drafts, and I had no idea. And I was between Caleb and Pacheco in my most recent one, and I took Pacheco again, and I'm like, I really wish this was Caleb, because I don't want in my high dollar stuff to be all in on Isaiah Pacheco. That feels kind of bad, but again, it would have been interesting to take Burrow there to do Burrow and Brown, but I don't want to hamstring myself. I'm going to have a few good quarterback options. Herbert, I got Rodgers, and I got Goff. They all go in, a reasonable range where I should have some, hopefully get access to that. Caleb would be interesting here at 76, even though 4th running back feels a little aggressive. Laporta, of course, does make a certain amount of sense on this team. I'm really high on Matthew Golden. I think it might be a mistake to pass on him here. I would have been interested in Diggs if Diggs had come around. Igbuka's been a big riser, but let's just take a Matthew Golden share. I'm a little heavy on week 5 buys, but I'm not really a bye week bro. I'm not too worried about that. So no one getting too wild and crazy in this draft. I'm trying to see. It doesn't look like. I guess the most notable thing that happened was the one hole was able to get Burrow all the way in the 6-7 turn. That's pretty lucky there. Addison here at 64. I was expecting him to continue sliding. He really hasn't. He's kind of has had the brakes on him a little bit. But maybe when the suspension is officially announced, we'll see the slide. I don't know. I'd like to think that the market's pricing it in, but the market's never pricing it in. Joel says the casuals, non-pejorative, love their running backs. That is true. that is true. And the casuals just, absolutely wrecked us last year when they were taking Henry and Saquon, and I was here like with bags of mediocre running backs thinking I was smarter than them. So I've learned my lesson. I've learned my lesson on the full fade of the workhorse running back. It just seems bad. Like these high volume running backs, even if they're kind of dusty, like I think you just got to take them, and you don't go crazy where if they get injured, you're toast. But like, I don't want to have no Kamara. I don't want to have no Ken Walker. Those guys could just end up with 1,400 yards and just be pretty darn good for your team. But like, it's way more fun to click Tet McMillan than it is Alvin Kamara. Like it makes you feel so much smarter when Tet McMillan smashes. So I get it. I've come around to the boomer lifestyle on the running backs. All right, let's see. We're coming up at pick 93. We've got 0, 3, 4 going. Baker, Kyler. I don't have any need for either of them. Travis Kelce is there at tight end. Mooney. I have a lot of Mooney. I think the shoulder thing is going to be fine coming into the season. I'm not super worried about that. All right, let's see. I think I'll just take Higgins here. We'll take a Jaden Higgins share. He'll open up another potential quarterback avenue with Stroud. He's also week 17 with Ladd. So I don't mind the Higgins pick there. I think that's nice. And we could end up trying to go for a Houston double if we end up with Christian Kirk later. Maybe it would have made sense to take a back and then take Trey Harris here to try to get the Ladd double. I wouldn't have minded that option. If I want Scatabo, I probably need him now, but I don't know if that's the best way to play this particular board. As much as I do love all Cam Scatabo there, I do have Saquon, Chase, and Swift. I'm kind of reliant on them. My running back or my wide receiver room is very strong. We're gonna have a decision to make here. I've really cooled on Etienne. It does feel like Tank Bigsby is kind of the guy to own among all of them. We're just gonna take Trey Harris here, and now we've got 0, 3, 6, 0. We've got Saquon, Chase Brown, DeAndre Swift, wide receiver room of Ladd, Metcalf, Jameson Williams, Matthew Golden, Jaden Higgins, and Trey Harris. So we're probably going to stop at 6 receivers here unless we end up needing some kind of back stack or there's a really good value. If at this point I'm not right, I'm probably I'm probably pretty screwed. So let's see what we end up with. Well, let me put Herbert in the queue because he's clearly a big priority here, but obviously I don't want any kind of star method disaster, so I'm going to be relying on all of you to keep that coming. Greg says the Piss Boys never rest. The show must go on. People tune in to draft fancy plays. Nobody's tuning in to watch. You take Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon and David Montgomery. Like that's just so much less fun. Reports for Packers camp are glowing on Golden. I know. I think Golden's gonna. I'm surprised he's not going higher. Maybe the ADPs aren't adjusting, but he is getting all of the beat report coach speak that you could ever imagine there. Jake Vinegar, first of all, thanks so much for popping in. Had a casual in a pond last night. Start 3-6-0-1. Yeah, that's you're in pretty big trouble if that's your start. Greg says that's big time. I gotta try it now. Hey, if you want to do stuff like that, let me recommend the Badge Bros Brawl, because you can literally go triple elite quarterback and then look at your team and be like, this team kind of rocks. Maybe again, with best ball breakfast coming on at 10, we'll see. I'm hoping we can get 2 drafts and a Badge Bros Brawl in. So we'll see. Hopefully this draft keeps on moving. DQ105 says, been liking the 0-3-5-0 starts and double tap QB in the window. I literally no notes. I mean, if you're taking a QB in 10 and 11, it feels awesome. It's actually hard for me to not do that sometimes. I just have this pretty strong tendency to do that, and I don't want to miss out on the position players in this range, but that is pretty nice. The other thing, I wish I had 3 picks here because I'd love Herbert and then I'd love to take Kraft and Love. That would be kind of my plutonic ideal of a team here. I do think I'm going to try to push Herbert and I'm going to take Kraft because I'm pretty big on Tucker Kraft here. If I miss out on the Ladd Harris double, I think I can tell myself that I made a call and it was bad. I'll be a little surprised if someone takes Herbert here because the Hampton drafters all the way over here, these people all already have quarterbacks. Now, unstacked quarterback is a thing that happens, but yeah, again, maybe I could have taken Herbert and then Love around the turn and then ended up with, Love and Golden. Maybe that would have been the move, but I didn't want to fall super far behind on tight end, and I really am in on Tucker Kraft. So, we'll see. I don't think Love is going to make it all the way back to me. If he did, that would be pretty incredible, and he would obviously be the pick with my next pick. As it is, I'm a little worried this is going to be an Aaron Rodgers plus. I don't even know. I don't know who my third quarterback is going to be, but we'll see. Well, we do get our guy. So right now we've got 1-3-6-1 with Herbert at QB, Saquon Barkley, Chase Brown, DeAndre Swift, wide receiver room of Ladd McConkey, DK Metcalf, Jameson Williams, Matthew Golden, Jaden Higgins, and Trey Harris, and a tight end of Tucker Kraft. So yeah, maybe, maybe thinking about it, the Herbert pick, the Kraft pick, we could potentially have taken Stroud. We could have double tapped, like DQ105 said, we could have double tapped Stroud and Herbert there. So it's possible that I had 3 QB options that kind of fumbled, and I'm only going to leave with 1. We'll see though. I'll queue up Stroud. I think he would be a nice addition to the team. I don't want to forget about Rodgers. Again, 186, right? This ADP is a little bit fake. He tends to either go way earlier in rooms where QB is a focus and people are getting jamming 3 QB at all costs. And then other times he almost goes undrafted because, people realize that they aren't going to force it. If the DK Metcalf drafter doesn't take Rodgers or, goes a different route, then taking Rodgers, you're kind of forcing tight ends or back stacks, or telling yourself, oh, like Warren or Caleb. So he's a little wonky to stack if it's not the Metcalf drafter. So again, a little bit of a phony ADP. So there goes Jordan Love. Jordan Love has no one to throw to on this team. You really hate to see it, folks. He does not find a good home, but again, I definitely could not expect him to come all the way back to us. QJ for a triple. I don't have any kind of cute throw to the running back stacks on this team. I think QJ will be the pick. Really don't know if I need a 7th receiver, but we're in such contingent value town. I could get really gross and do Penix Pitts. Man, let me see something. Where's Drake London? Where are you? You should be over here. Drake London's over here. Where's Mooney? Mooney's here. And this guy has 2 quarterbacks. So does he take a third? Interesting question here. All right. We're going to take Pitts. And if we get Penix, so be it. If we don't get Penix, then I think we're going to do a backup running back situation. I do think taking the 7th receiver in QJ is a little bit thin. I think I need some of the other positions a little bit more. If I can pull off this Penix thing, that would be kind of nice. I know it's a little gross. I know I swore off Michael Penix with all of you, but I got sucked back in, guys. I got sucked back in a little bit. Worst case scenario is we have a second tight end there who, could be halfway decent. Unfortunately, we're going to have to take a third with the bye week situation. But let's see. So this Beastnik guy takes Penix. He just took him naked. So, maybe I should have taken Penix first and then hoped that I got Pitts. That probably would have been the move, but you know what? It's not the move we made. Now, I do worry if I don't take another quarterback here, then I'm only going to end up with one. So who do we want if we do that? Let's not live like cowards. I'm going to take Dylan Sampson here. If we don't end up with 3 QBs, I'm not going to just force it with a naked Bryce Young or Tua here. So we'll see what happens. We may not have played this. We may not have played this room optimally. I'm going to shoot straight with you guys. I think Penix was the pick, and then I should have just counted on this Beastnik guy to not take Kyle Pitts, who does have a tendency to fall in some rooms. This guy did have George Pickens, so I guess it makes sense for him to probably would have taken Ferguson to build out the team stack a little bit more. But you know what? We're out here trying stuff. Joel says the gaggle of people drafting Purdy unstacked 10 picks ahead of ADP is really starting to cheese me off. Yeah, unstacked QB. It's an epidemic. It's really an epidemic in these rooms. Greg says the 1-3-3 feels nice to scoop one of the faller QBs in the 130 to 40s. Yep, I agree there. Yeah, get your QBs all. This team will live or die with Justin Herbert here. There goes QJ to Big Fudgy over there on the right. He gets a nice value there. Dylan Sampson, not somebody I have much of, but somebody I want to get a lot more of. And if I really am going to end up with Aaron Rodgers, he is a week 17 bring back. My problem is little Miss Brat. I don't know. I'm missing a letter there, but whoever they are only has 1 quarterback, and these 2 guys only have 2 quarterbacks. So there's a good chance. Let's look at who's left. Let's actually, you know what? There's more quarterbacks left than I thought. So there are more quarterbacks left than I thought. I think I will take my favorite of that bunch and try to push Rodgers unless another couple quarterbacks go. I don't know why someone here would take Rodgers naked, but now it's starting to thin out a little bit. At least Renegade, I think, already has 3 quarterbacks. So it's just a question. See, the 3 quarterback epidemic. It is real, folks. It It is real. We're down to Rodgers, Young, and Darnold. My goodness, people. My goodness. I almost prefer naked Bryce Young to Aaron Rodgers, and we just pray that Rodgers comes back. I think I'm gonna do that. There's no way Bryce Young makes it around back to me. Let's just hope we get one of these guys. Again, I have not played this room super optimally. I'm going to be the first to admit that, but we'll see. We've taken a few risks, and so far none of them have paid off. Oh yeah, I already had that up. DQ 105. So let's see what we can get here. We'll pull the board up. We'll watch along as let's see, him taking a QB. It's like super Jover if Ben takes a third QB here, because Little Miss Brat is almost guaranteed to take somebody. Let's see. They wind the clock down. No purple. They take Brashard Smith. Okay, so that's another guy who's getting steamy. All right, Zach Ertz goes. We're gonna get a third quarterback. We are gonna get a third quarterback. And we're gonna land this plane, folks. You're gonna end up landing this plane after all. I think it's gonna be okay. Just take Darnold over Rodgers, though. Okay. All right, we get Aaron Rodgers. We get our guy. We've got a 3-4-6-2 team. Justin Herbert, Bryce Young, Aaron Rodgers. Running back room of Saquon Barkley, Chase Brown, DeAndre Swift, and Dylan Sampson. Wide receiver room of Ladd McConkey, DK Metcalf, Jameson Williams, Matthew Golden, Jaden Higgins, and Trey Harris. And a tight end room of Tucker Kraft and Kyle Pitts. So not too bad. I've definitely built worse teams. I've definitely built teams I feel a little more comfortable in. But we'll add another tight end, and then probably another couple running backs. It's possible now that we end this with a Roman Wilson. We did start Saquon, Brown, and Swift, so there's an argument that 5 running backs are enough here. I guess we'll just kind of see what the room gives us, because the boards have shifted quite a bit. A lot of these value running backs that we used to be able to get reliably, like Brashard Smith, are going way earlier. Taj Brooks, he's another one of my comfy late round clicks. He's been getting pulled up more and more. So it feels like in this very late range, DJ Giddens. I don't take DJ Giddens anymore. He may not be the RB2 in Indy like we all wanted. I really think it's Khalil Herbert, which really stinks. So we will see. Paired with Dowdle is a priority. If we can make that happen here. I do like Dowdle. I do like Miles Sanders. Those guys would be pretty fantastic. As far as tight ends go, Jatavion Sanders is fine. He would be a stack with Young, but I'm a little cooler on Sanders than maybe the market is. But yeah, I think it's pretty clearly Dowdle on this team. In a vacuum, maybe I prefer Sanders, but I think this just makes a whole lot more sense for this team. I think I'll take. Okay, I was gonna say I would still take Dowdle over any of these tight ends. Slayton, Thornton, those guys are all fine. Jarquez Hunter, interesting. I think I should take Juwan Johnson. Woody Marks is another guy who is going to be rising up pretty quickly, I think, with the Mixon injury. Woody Marks is now quite live to be drafted. I don't know if the word out of camp on Chubb has been that amazing. I'm not sure he's going to just be the Mixon role, and Woody Marks is going to be the pass catching Dare role. I think there's a pretty decent chance that Woody Marks starts seeing some valuable touches there. So now Mason or Juwan Johnson? Interesting question here. I feel like in a vacuum, I just prefer Juwan Johnson to Mason Taylor, as boring as that sounds. So we'll take our third tight end here. I just didn't want to end up pushing tight end super late, because I do need another tight end who will start, because both of my guys have week 5 buys. So I was afraid if I pushed this, it would get it would get too thin. The question here is one more receiver or one more running back with Dowdle. Maybe it's receiver. Maybe it is Roman Wilson would make sense. Let's see who else. With Bryce Young, it could be our new king, Hunter Renfrow. I don't know. Hunter Renfro's apparently out there and looking good. It is a pretty crowded room in Carolina, so that could be just fancy play syndrome. Calvin Austin certainly another possibility. So we've got a few different choices here. I don't think there's a late receiver for who's their rookie? Lambert Smith. I think that's a little fancy. That's more of a DraftKings play where you get 20 rounds than here. So let's put up Roman Wilson. I think this is kind of my preferred lineup here. So we'll see what the room gives to us. We've got I'm going to just recap the team now so we can hop right into something else right away. We've got a 3-5-6-3, Justin Herbert, Bryce Young, Aaron Rodgers, running back room of Saquon Barkley, Chase Brown, DeAndre Swift, Dylan Sampson gets me lifted, Rico Dowdle, wide receiver room of Ladd McConkey, DK Metcalf, Jamison Williams, Matthew Golden, Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris, in a tight end room of Tucker Kraft, Kyle Pitts, Juwan Johnson, and we're going to add one more of Marks, Roman Wilson, or Hunter Renfrow to the team. So not the worst team I've ever assembled, not the best team I've ever assembled. At least we were able to get 3 QBs. Now we got the Herbert double stack. We do have Rodgers stacked with DK Metcalf that I do quite like. You know, we've got a few different bringbacks, and maybe we will get Woody Marks. I mean, Taj Brooks is another potential click here, although Brooks and Chase Brown probably don't need both of them. You know, I don't hate the potential handcuff. So let's take Woody Marks here. I don't think he's going to be owned in 100% of the contest. And again, he is another Week 17 part to the Justin Herbert and Jaden Higgins situation here. So, all right, not bad. Save Scum, first of all, thank you so much for coming in. I love the floppy disk avatar there. Cole Kmet is such a free tight end in best ball right now. Save Scum, I'm gonna shoot straight with you. I don't think I have any Cole Kmet in any format now, and I feel like with Loveland practicing, he's a little fancy, but I don't hate it. Let me hop into BBM and we'll get back to that. So I'll count this down from 5. If anyone wants to hop into a BBM, let's see where we're at. We'll do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and waiting for 9. All right, I'm going to try to hop into another Chow Chow. I'm going to hop out of that if this Chow Chow is full. Let's see. Do we... Waiting for 3. All right, so what's going to fill first? The Chow Chow or the BBM? All right, so it looks like the Chow Chow is only waiting for 2. I'm going to hop out of the BBM. If anyone wants to get into the Chow Chow, we're waiting for 1 here. So... yep, we're just gonna run back another one. So yeah, Cole Kmet, I don't hate it, right? Because I don't think there's a lot of tight ends that have true contingent upside. I think the list is somewhat short, and I think Cole Kmet is on that list. I think it's a lot to put on Caleb's plate to be able to support. You know, we're expecting him to support DJ Moore and Odunze and or Luther Burden and then a tight end. So I don't know if you're thinking of him more as, you know, if Loveland comes along slowly. I don't know. I don't hate it, right? Like I think it's fine. But I consider him more of a, you know, I look at him more like a Dawson Knox than I do a Pat Freiermuth, where I feel like Freiermuth could have standalone value and not need something to happen to Jonnu versus Knox, who I think, you know, he's going to be out there. He's going to be kind of annoying. He's going to, you know, have a game where he gets like 3 receptions and a touchdown and steal that from Kincaid. But I don't know. Greg says, my pre-draft bags love this Kmet talk. Yeah, I mean, you know, he's alive to have spike weeks. I just think his path really is reliant on a bearish Loveland situation. Save says Colson Loveland is still ramping up, but didn't participate in the spring programs. I really don't think he's going to get the receiving work people think. Yeah, and we get the 101. All right, so hold on. Let me go back to this because we got 43 seconds. Yeah, they just used the top 10 draft pick on Loveland, and it's like a new regime using like massive draft capital on a guy. I feel like I'd feel differently if the situation was slightly different. You know, like it does feel like Loveland is kind of their guy, and Kmet is a holdover from the old regime. If they really liked Kmet, then they would have taken somebody else. Like they were a team that definitely had quite a few needs. You know, I think they're trying to put Caleb in the best position to win, and they thought like an elite tight end would help him do that. So I'm willing to leave the light on for Kmet, but I think the bear case for Loveland is more like just rookie tight ends come up slow, right? Like, and I don't think that's unreasonable. Tight ends can take a while to come into their own. Like we don't always see that massive production like we want. Like I don't think both Loveland and Warren are going to, especially Warren. Like I don't know if they're going to succeed to where we're drafting them. Like we're taking Warren ahead of like Njoku and Kraft, who have been in the league, longer and are more established. I mean, Kraft to a lesser extent, but like Kincaid and Goddard. Like I feel like Warren is even money to have a season like Dallas Goddard is, and we're getting him 20 picks later. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Is I'm a little bearish on rookie tight ends, so I definitely see your argument. I just, in this particular case, with the amount of draft capital they put in, I think he's going to be thrown kind of into the fire pretty quick. Greg says Theo and Juwan got to be the free tight ends now. I take them a lot as my third tight end, so I'm all in on that, Greg. I'm with you there. Let's see. So Jefferson went at 2. So let me see. First of all, did any of you all get in here? That OMG guy, he's in everything. Hey, B Grandy, I see you over here at the 11. Awesome. Thanks for hopping in and helping fill the room and drafting with us this morning. And yeah, all right, we're off and running. We're off and running in the Chow Chow. So let's see. I'm not sure if we'll be able to finish this and do a Badge Bros Brawl, but we'll probably try. People click really fast in the Badge Bros Brawl. Like in these contests, sometimes you see people take the 30-second. In Badge Bros Brawl, people are just like windmilling in picks because, I don't know, maybe it just feels more like a quick hitter dopamine kind of draft than these longer ones where you got to invest 30-40 minutes in them. Those Badge Bros Brawls draft can really come flying along. So B Grandy gets Amon Ra over there. We are on well opposite sides of the board, so I can't blame you if this draft goes south on me. Save Scum says, I took Loveland in a few drafts and Kmet and a few also. Main thing to me is Loveland is like tight end 12 and Kmet goes undrafted almost every time. You can get him with your last pick. Yeah. Again, I think he's a perfectly reasonable third tight end last round click. We're either, again, the list of tight ends to me that have real contingent upside. I think like Michael Mayer, I love him as a last round click. If something happens to Bowers, I think Mayer is like a giga smash where he goes. And I think he's going to play a little in 12 personnel and have a few spike week games. I think that's fine. I think Kmet is a very similar bet. A lot of teams, the tight end depth chart is more like you have the bunch of blocking tight ends and guys who are just like very limited. But we know Kmet can take on that receiving role and, do the blocking that's required to stay out on the field. So I see the vision. I certainly see the vision there. All right, let's see. So B Grandy, he gets AJ Brown over there to pair with Amon Ra. Board is coming over to us. I'll pull this up and we'll see which direction we want to go. I don't do much Chase Higgins stacking. I don't think I'm going to start that today. I probably like at least one of these running backs. I've done the cute thing where you take an elite quarterback with Allen. I don't mind that. I think that's actually kind of sharp. If I could get Hill and Bucky, I will just windmill jam those picks in together. I have to figure out what I want to do if Bucky goes. I'd probably take... That's unfortunate, but I will take Tyreek here. Do I want to take one of these elite quarterbacks? I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do the thing where we take Hill, and then I think I'm going to take Lamar. So the plan here is, first of all, there's not going to be a lot of Lamar Chase teams, right? Lamar usually lives over here, so there's not going to be a lot of Chase Lamar. The second thing is Zay Flowers goes at pick 54. So I just have to get Zay Flowers, 6 picks ahead of ADP, and I don't have to worry about a Lamar drafter. So you can pretty reliably stack Lamar and Flowers here. If for some reason Flowers goes, then you have, Mark Andrews at 106. So you can just, I minimize my screen. You can take, Bateman or Andrews if you need the stack here at 8-9. So I've come around to taking Lamar. I like him on the left side of the board, particularly when your main plan has gone out the window, which for me it did. I messed up my screens over here to let you behind the curtain. My screen with StreamYard just completely disappeared on me. So anyway, that's kind of the thesis there of taking Lamar. And I've seen this done. You can do the same thing. You can take Josh Allen here. There's not going to be a ton of Allen Chase teams in BBMs over on Underdog. You can do the same thing with Jaden Daniels. The issue with Daniels is then you're really reliant. If you want to stack him, you're probably not going to get McLaurin. And because, he lives over here, you'd have to get a massive fall in McLaurin unless you double tap him there, which I think that's a little thin because McLaurin's going to project a lot worse than, Tyreek, T, Garrett, this range of receiver there. Again, and you're also going to be directly up against a lot of Chase, Jalen Hurts teams because Jalen Hurts does tend to sometimes falls to the over to the one hole. So B Grandy over there, he does take Jalen Hurts to pair with AJ Brown and has Breece Hall. So nice little start for B Grandy. For me, the pick will be Zay Flowers and somebody else. The question is who, and we will have to stay tuned. Stay tuned, dear viewers, for that. Save Scum asks, are there any tight ends you're avoiding super hard? I know I'm low on Warren. I'm not like avoiding him, but I prefer Ingram. If Ingram falls, then I'll take Ingram over Warren. And I'm really into Tucker Kraft, and he goes right after Warren. So it's very hard for me to click Tyler Warren over Tucker Kraft, also because it's very hard to stack. It's very, very hard to stack Warren with any confidence. You basically have to make the A-Rich or you have to make the A-Rich or the Daniel Jones bet, which I don't really love. So I'm going to queue up Cook. That would be nice if we can get a falling Cook. If not, then we'll do I think we'll just do Chuba Hubbard and Zay Flowers here. I think that would be perfectly fine. Let's see what Togon. He takes James Cook. That's fine there. I think I want to take a running back here with Flowers, although I really like Pickens. I really like Metcalf. A little more than Hubbard. All right, maybe we're just going to go 0 RB. It's a little dicey going 0 RB on this team, but you know what? We're going to live a little. We're going to try to take Pickens here. So we'll see. This could be sketchy. We have 1-0, 4-3. Lamar Jackson, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Zay Flowers, and George Pickens. I'm pretty into George Pickens these days. Yeah, we'll have to see. This is gonna be a little bit dicey. I'm not gonna lie. I really like having a running back in the flex, and that's not how we built this team. but we're going to try something different. We'll try something different here in the Chow Chow and hope it works out. Joel says Kelsey at his ADP feels really bad. Yeah. So does having no Kelsey. That's the problem. Like, he's, friends with probably one of the, the best pocket passer in the leagues. It's tough to bet against Mahomes. Every time, most times you do that, it feels not great. I know, last year Kelsey wasn't a guy I wanted to click on, and he still got there. He's not going to have any yards after catch, but he still finds ways to get into open space, just sits down in open space. And he's another guy where if they kind of nurse him along early in the year and then bring him up to speed at the end of the season going into the playoffs, it's like he could just be the down the stretch guy you kind of need. So I don't know. I don't like having none of him, but he's certainly not the comfiest click on the board. He's friends with Burrow. That's fair, Jake. I imagine so. I don't think they're friends. They seem very I can't tell with I can't tell what Burrow is like actually in real life. But we'll see. Kelsey feels like he could get along with anybody. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough to completely fade them. It's funny because Davis's opinion is that without Rice, that it actually is kind of a net negative to Kelsey. And he's much more plugged into Chiefs stuff. For me, it was more just, I'm kind of like, well, there's one less pass catcher there, but maybe then you get the opposite where Kelsey's relied on early in the season and then kind of has like a mid-season like load management kind of year. I think that load management is certainly in the range of outcomes. All right, let's queue up a bunch of running backs. We need. If I have to take Tony Pollard at pick 73, I am not going to be happy. I will tell you all that much. This is how I have them ranked. I can't take Joe Mixon at pick 73. That just seems not good. This skis guy taking Reed ahead of Matthew Golden. Love that. The guy just standing his ground there. I think this is how I want to do them on this team. All right, so Montgomery goes. So I think we're just going to do Caleb Pacheco on this team. I know Swift a little higher in ADP, but let's do a Caleb Pacheco team here. And I think we're doing okay now. We pushed running back, but we got luckier than we did last draft with the way the running backs fell. So now we've got 1, 2, 4, 0 with Lamar Jackson, Caleb Johnson, Isaiah Pacheco, wide receiver room of Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Zay Flowers, and George Pickens. So yeah, not too bad here. Let's see, where did just curious. Yeah, so Debo, just as a kind of tying a bow on this, Debo went at 67. So again, if you try the if I took Daniels here instead of Lamar, odds are Debo would not make it to me. So then if you want to stack Daniels, you're either stacking him with a running back or you're taking like Zach Ertz late. Or like, you're getting really cute and taking Jalen Lane. And I wish I was a Jalen Lane guy, but I need a little more drumbeat out of camp before I start doing that. ATX Bearcat GM to you, asking what's the latest with Rice. I haven't heard anything new. I think the suspension is imminent, and hopefully it's not super long. I don't know. It's anywhere from like 3 to 7 games is what I've heard. My guess is 6, but I don't know. That's kind of where that's my over under. I'm setting the line at 6. So if that's what it is, then it's going to push and you'll all get your money back there. Bindles GM Chad's assemble. Hey Bindles, thanks so much for hopping in this morning. Really appreciate it. I love the ongoing function strength discussions online with you and Best Ball guys. Some of the funniest stuff. Some of the funniest stuff I've seen on there. If you all don't follow Bindles, great follow on Twitter, and also follow him on YouTube because he's out there in the content mines and puts out some really great stuff. ATX Bearcat says he's really falling sometimes. Yeah, that's the thing. He's like, he's hard to take at ADP because people are getting him like 12 picks after that. So, and then he comes to you like 10 picks after, and you're like, does someone know something I don't? So he's kind of he can be a little bit of a difficult click. I do agree. All right, let's see what the room is handing to us. I think the mature thing to do is to go running back plus a wide receiver here. I would probably prefer Cooper Kupp over the other guys, but we'll see. I don't really like Ayuk. Mark Andrews is here. Mark Andrews would make sense. I could do a double stack, but I don't know. I think I want a I think we could go late tight end. Also, the nice thing about you all know who I'm clicking. You just can't stop me, folks. I will take Cooper Kupp and our king, Cam Scatabo here. You can take Isaiah Likely as well. Isaiah Likely's ADP at 144. That lines up exactly here. So, if we don't get Andrews, there's a 50-50 chance that we get Isaiah Likely at ATP if we do want the Lamar double stack. But having Zay Flowers means we don't have to force it. I did need a third running back after we have Caleb and Pacheco, and I'm a Cam Scatabo slappy, so I'm just going to take him there. Dirty P, GM to you. Thanks so much for hopping in, first of all, and hammering the under on 6 games. Team seems to expect 2 to 4. I hadn't heard that team expectation anywhere. So if you have that, then that's then to me that's means we should be taking more Rice. I think the fear is that the longer Rice is out, the more the offense is built around Worthy. And I think that if the offense is humming with Worthy as the focal point, when Rice comes back, they're not going to like rock the boat. And so then it's going to look like, well, why are we taking Rice ahead of Worthy if Worthy is like the straw that stirs the drink over there? So I think that if you think it's 2 to 4, then the chances are that Rice can hop back in and end up as kind of the wide receiver 1. But I think if it's 6 games, like, are they really going to re-engineer the whole offense? Now, obviously, if the team stinks and they're 2-4 after 6 games, and then Rice comes back, yeah, I think Rice will be a giga jam. But I don't know. I feel like teams tend to like to stick with what's working. So I think the longer he's not there, it's like exponentially worse as far as like where he ends up. Tim says, love Lamar. Justice Hill goes super late. If I need a running back, feel like he could erupt in 16 and 17. Catch a bunch of balls out of backfield touchdowns. Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I like Justice Hill on Lamar teams because he tells like the opposite story from the Henry teams. Like if they're throwing it to Justice Hill, it's because the game script is like going in their favor, where they're actually like losing or they need to play catch up, versus when they're just salting the game away. So if Baltimore's defense isn't as good or they're in more shootouts, then I think Hill is a nice pairing with Lamar Jackson. So I agree with you there. He's kind of like a nice I don't know, hedge is the wrong word, but he tells like a little bit of a different story. Mark Andrews is very close to coming back, but I have to dodge 2 people with no tight ends, so that's going to be iffy. Let's see, Tua. I think he's already gone. Dak's already gone. I don't have a natural stack. Yeah, I could have potentially jammed a Lovecraft thing, but I bet this anti-gamble phobia does that. I'm trying to think. So we will take Andrews. So Andrews came to us, which is pretty awesome. Do I take a quarterback here? I don't think so. What am I taking? What am I doing here, guys? What am I doing? We're definitely taking Mark Andrews. Ramondre is such a boring pick. I'm like, oh, Ramondre is a boring pick, and then I'm like, Christian Kirk, come on down. I could also take Evan Ingram. You know what? We're going to do that. We're going to take Evan Ingram, and then we're going to just shut down tight end with Andrews and Ingram and punt off the decision to get a little bit more flexibility down the road. Ideally, Tua will come to us, but Tua's ADP is 150. So I'm going to queue up Tua so that I don't forget that. I think that would be pretty nice. Again, taking Ingram there does, it opens one door and it closes another, right? It gives me more flexibility at other positions, but it also means I'm probably not taking a third tight end, which also, I can't go like Shuck Juwan Johnson or, Sanders and Bryce Young. Like I'm closing those doors, but I do think with Lamar, if this ends up just being Lamar and Tua, that's fine. I don't necessarily need to force a third QB. I have the potential for Darnold here to pair with Cooper Kupp. I could also do another Aaron Rodgers team and have Caleb, and then again Roman Wilson or Calvin Austin or whomever. Bindles, I will never give in to BBG's cope and see. It's so good. It's so angry. So fired up. That's all I'm called. Prove it with an emoji. Bindles responds with what I have to assume is an actual photo of his bicep there. Yeah, it is one of my favorite ongoing Twitter discussions. Let's pull the board back up, see what's going on here. Also, it's been 57 minutes. I haven't asked you once to like and or subscribe. If you could though, please do it. I don't even want to look at how many likes I have, because I'm sure it's like 3, and I'm just gonna be sad. But if you all could, please like, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 150 is the next goal. We're very close. I was at 142 this morning. Would love to see that number. Tick up. So I appreciate it, and I really appreciate hanging out with all of you. It's such a fun way to start the morning, and I really do like doing these streams and drafts with you guys. So let's see what B. Grandy did. B. Grandy's he's got 3 quarterbacks here. So he's got Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown, Breece Hall, Jalen Hurts. Follows it up with Travion Henderson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, T.J. Hawkinson. Oh my God, you didn't get McCarthy, did you? Drake Young, Jared Goff, Dalton Kincaid, and Ray Davis. So you went Hawkinson, Jones, and Addison, and then passed on McCarthy. Interesting choice, Mr. Grandy. I have to say that was an interesting decision going May over. I mean, if you don't want the 2 week 17 quarterbacks, I get it, because you've got Goff. I'm a little surprised at the Drake May selection there. I have to say, I know you have Travion, but you did get the triple. But then again, you don't always need the quarterback there, and you have the week 17 quarterback on the Goff side of the universe. So I hear you there. Do we take Dylan Sampson or do we take Garendo? Of course, Isaiah Likely is here, so we could have potentially gotten that. Really don't know how I'm ending up with so much Dylan Sampson, but I feel like he makes sense. I'm getting another shot at QJ, but I don't think that makes sense. I think I need another tight end who might be getting me points. So let's just do Sampson again on this team. It's funny because I have almost no Sampson, and I have him on both of my my Chow teams, but we will do that. All right. So, and then B. Grandy also gets Dalton Kincaid and Ray Davis. So building out a couple pieces of Buffalo. Thinking back on that, Grandy, I guess it makes sense to where, you don't necessarily need the QB stack. Drake May certainly does not need to be taken unstacked or with a, pass catcher, quote unquote. So I hear you there. Interesting construction, but certainly was able to get the week 17 mega with the Lions Vikings game, which is a pretty exciting game to be stacking up. Keeping the board open. Likely try to get Sam Darnold here with my next pick, or Aaron Rodgers if I really have to. Not sure if that's going to work. We are at 9:20 29. I think we're going to have time for a Badge Bros Brawl after this. But if I do that, I'm not going to be able to do a big team recap here. Might even queue up my 18th round picks before I hop over there. Let's start thinking about who our next picks are going to be. We've got 4 running backs, but are a little sketchy. So this is definitely going to be a six running back team. So, possible. I think it's pretty likely we just go quarterback, running back here. Does this need to be a 6-7-2 team? I mean, we've got Chase, Hill, Flowers, Pickens, Cup. We really could stop at 6. So do we take 7 running backs? I don't hate that. I mean, it's not done too often. You don't really see too many 2-7-6-2 teams. I think that probably generally has kind of a poor advance rate if I were to kind of think about it. But then again, we've really made our bed with Chase, Hill, Flowers, Pickens, and Cup here. So I don't know. We'll have to see what the room is presenting to us before we make that call. But at the very least, 2 more running backs and probably 1 more quarterback, unless we get a massive run here in round 14. B Grandy says, got to get a little weird sometimes. All right, so you first of all, I'll just take note. You did take Demario Douglas. Love that pick. He's been getting some really good buzz in camp. So you were able to ultimately stack Drake May. So I'm glad that I'm glad to see that did happen, and Hunter Henry. So you did get a May. We'll call it a triple because you also have Travion Henderson over there. Quarterback starting to go here with Stafford and Cam Ward. This Abonia guy only has 1 QB. We'll see if he takes 2. I really wish they put the number of each position so you don't have to get out your micrometer to see how thick the bar is, to see how many quarterbacks somebody has. This is 3 and that's 2, and it's really, really small. Really small difference, especially if you're trying to multitask here. All right, let's see. Jaden Blue. I don't really like Jaden Blue. Braylon Allen's decent enough. I'll queue up Darnold. I think we'll do Darnold over Rodgers here. Jaden Blue goes. I don't like Jalen Wright, but if he is the backup, I don't want to be out on him. I think I prefer Miles Sanders a little bit, honestly, to Jalen Wright. You know what? It's my team. I can do what I want. I'm taking Miles Sanders. I'm going to take Miles Sanders ahead of Jalen Wright. I know Jalen Wright is supposedly the backup, but I also think Jalen Wright kind of sucks. And it could be, you could have A-Chain and then some kind of horrific committee between Wright, Madison, and Ollie Gordon. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just really, I know I had Tua, but you can't make me take Jalen Wright. I just don't want to do it. So that's that. Dirty P says, I had to complete my Diggs May stack at pick 90 in a chow. These naked Drake May slappies are the nut below. I don't mind telling you. Yeah. Yeah. They, naked QB is the new meta here. It's people just are 3 QB at all costs. All right, Dirty P, especially these clowns who raw dog Mayo is their QB2, very poor etiquette. Yeah, there is nobody, there are people just leaving, if the underdog are streets, we call them best ball streets. There's gum on the sidewalk everywhere. That people don't pick up after their dog. These streets are filthy. You have to watch your step. Nobody's looking out for you. The trash cans are overflowing. It's pretty tough. Joel says, suck it, Cabal. It's my team, and I'll draft who I want. Nobody's looking after you, Joel. Nobody is looking after you. I hate to say it. We're all here on our own. The Cabal doesn't want you to win. That's what they won't tell you. The Cabal is trying to keep you down. You can draft however you want. And, if there was a formula for winning, then everyone would be winning. But there's really not. Sometimes we get boxed into these things just so we can tick a box and say that the team looks good, and you get the nod of approval from the Cabal. You've got to build your own bear, as they say. Right. Mike McDaniel seems to have lost a locker room in Miami. Not sure McDaniel makes it through this season. I haven't heard anything like that, Tim, but it wouldn't surprise me. I do feel like his shtick might be wearing a little thin. I don't know. As a Dolphins fan, I hope they can keep it together, but I didn't love Tua being like, yeah, we're still kind of mad at Tyreek. That was not great. Dirty P says, I'm done venting. Hey, this is a safe space, Dirty P. Oh, no wonder I keep bringing it up. I don't know if you were copy pasting. Dirty P, what's going on over there? All right, Tim says he's great individual players. I'm not sure Miami can put it together. Well, that's kind of the tale of Miami. We also never can figure out how to build like an offensive line, but that's a story for another day, I suppose. All right, let's see what is coming to us. Kind of in on Dante Thornton. If he comes to us, he makes sense. Darius Slayton is nice. I know I want another running back. I only have 5, so there goes Slayton. Brashard Smith, kind of a fun click, I think. A-Rich goes Justice Hill. Yeah, probably take Hill. We're going to take Justice Hill because I do think he makes sense on this team. Do we take 7 running backs? Do we take 7 running backs and 6 receivers? That is the grand question for us. I almost feel like we do. We've got Caleb, Pacheco, and Samson, although I think we take Taj over Brashard because we have Pacheco. So I don't think Brashard makes sense. We're going to do it. We are going to do a 3-7-5-2 team. I'm going to queue up some wide receivers left. I'm going to add DeAndre Hopkins to the queue. I don't feel good about it. We'll add Yoshi Voss. We'll add Roman Wilson. We'll add Jalen Naylor. We'll add McLeod. We'll add Atwell. We'll add Tyler Lockett. Please don't make me take Tyler Lockett. We'll add Jermaine Burton, and we'll add Martez Valdez-Scantling. Okay, so I got a bunch of dudes queued up. We'll come back. I don't want to fully abandon this. I do kind of... let me take Taj Brooks out of the queue. Wait. Who did we take? Mason Taylor? Oh, no. I got position limited, I think. Oh, no. I got position limited, guys. I got position limited because I was autoing stuff and I didn't want 7 running backs. Oh, that is a huge honking bummer. I did not want Mason Taylor on this team. I wanted another running back. All right, we're not getting another running back because I do need a 6th wide receiver. That sucked. Okay, cool. Maybe Mason Taylor's who we need. That stinks. I wish this didn't happen in a Pomeranian because I was trying to do something. But you know what? That's okay. That is okay. All right. With that said, we will end up with a 3-6-6-3 team. Let me hop over to a Badge Bros Brawl and fire that up. To make sure that we get out of here in time. So we'll do one of these. I'm just gonna click it. These are so hard to count down. I don't want to rug anybody. Waiting for 2. If anyone wants to hop in, please feel free. These streets are a little wild, but I think we'll be able to watch the rest of this before that fills and fires. All right. Tim says McDaniel's very smart. 80-point game was bonkers a few years ago. Yeah, the game where I think if you had A-Chain and Mostert, you just could retire on your own island. As they both managed to get there and score like 45 fantasy points. That was an absolutely nuts game for the Dolphins Broncos game. Tim says hopefully Taylor hits a stride and crushed it towards the end of the season. Yeah, it's a little frustrating. It's a little frustrating because if I were to take a late tight end, it probably would have been somebody to stack with Darnold. Like, honestly, I'm kind of in on Barner, on AJ Barner over Arroyo. My slappy heart wants it to be Arroyo, but I think it really might be AJ Barner. I really think he might be the tight end to own over there. So I don't know. We will see. Jalen Naylor is fine. He's not a stack or anything, but I think he's going to at least have some early season production. McLeod would be fine. Like I don't know. I'm not going to go out of my way to take MVS. I have a lot of MVS and stuff. I think he's also perfectly fine with Darnold there, but we'll just take Jalen Naylor. I think he's just a better play in general here, especially if, who knows, if something really does happen to Justin Jefferson, then Naylor's like kind of a giga smash as a free square. All right, the Badge Bros Brawl is up. It is starting. That was an unfortunate ending here. Let's see. I don't think I see anybody in here, but again, it's been an hour, 11 minutes. Please like and subscribe. It means a ton to me. Helps keep the lights on over here. And yeah, it is so much fun drafting with you all. I'm gonna hop off at 10. Best Ball Breakfast Pete Overzet's channel begins then, and I will be a chat rat in there with all of you, and I'm looking forward to that. Always a great morning watch. All right, let's see. Hey, Red Sick, am I pronouncing that right? Red Sick Sports. First of all, thank you so much for coming in here, GM. I love the literal fantasy football take in your icon there. Been watching since the start. 300 drafts and only 3 Mason Taylor shares. Well, here's how you get more Mason Taylor. Let me give you the alpha. Set your position limits, then have Mason Taylor at the top of your ranks, and then put a 7th running back in your queue, and then it will take Mason Taylor for you instead of the guy you want. So that's how you get up from 1% Taylor exposure. Yeah, that was regrettable. All right, so I have been tending to build these to running back early. I think that the wide receiver depth is absolutely insane, but the elite running back kind of falls off a cliff. I don't mind taking an elite, a first round talent receiver. I think that's fine, but I'm really prefer to build towards the early running backs, and I generally like an elite QB on every team if I can get it. One of the big 4. So let's see what he does. So Speakone, who are you taking here? He takes Puka. I'm just going to take, I'm going to live my truth. I'm going to take Genty. So we're going to start Bijan, Genty here. I will take one of these 3, but if all 3 of them go, then I'll take Henry. Okay, so I'm going to get 1 elite receiver on this team. I also don't mind taking Jonathan Taylor, because you can go Bijan, Genty, Taylor and end up building like an absolute wagon. You can also take Brock Bowers here and lock up elite tight end. If I can get this, a first round wide receiver here, though, I will do it and then see what else we can see. It is very, 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 very important in these to keep the board up, to view the board as much as you can. I lied. I'm taking Jonathan Taylor. I'm just going to do it. We're going to go really hard at running back because there are 4 elite quarterbacks, and sometimes people will double tap them at the turn. Like if this guy double taps quarterback, then I absolutely will take an elite quarterback here at 22. Same thing here over on the left side of the board. So just keeping an eye on like what's going on in the rooms is super valuable. All right, let's see. Probably time to take one of these elite receivers. I don't know if I want London and Bijan, but I don't really mind that. I think that's fine in this contest. That might lean me towards Penix as a scroll down quarterback, so we'll do that. We're going to make sure that we end up with Penix on this team. The good thing about Badge Bros Brawls is the pocket passers later in the draft are all essentially free. Like nobody's taking them unless they're building a stack. Like it is almost a 0% chance somebody just randomly rips off Penix. I mean, people do it because people know to sprinkle in late scroll down stuff, but it would be kind of odd. I would be very surprised to see that happen here. Let's see. So T Higgins goes. So this person double taps the Bengals pass catchers. I think my preference is Tyreek. If I don't get Tyreek, then I'm going to take an elite quarterback. I don't get Tyreek. I'm going to push quarterback one more spot and take Garrett Wilson, who I do consider in this sort of top tier of wide receiver. Again, I mean, there's a chance that if this guy double taps Hurts and Daniels, then I'm absolutely going to wish I had taken a receiver there. Also, Hurts is typically the last of the elite quarterbacks to go. So maybe, if I take AJ Brown here, then I can build the Hurts stack. But he does not go. So we're going to go with Jaden Daniels here if he comes to us. Jaden Daniels does not. So we're just going to take Jalen Hurts. I want to make sure, again, one of my goals here is to leave with an elite quarterback on every team possible. Dirty. Yeah, hilarious. Yeah, tough scenes there, Red Sick. Auto draft by Ranks Karma. It's so brutal. And it was a tight end. I wouldn't have been mad if it was a receiver because I wanted another. I just said I'm ending at two tight ends. And the next thing I know, I have an unstacked tight end on the team, which was a little bit regrettable. So we've got Hurts here. Again, I mean, I could take JSN. I think that's fine. I'm trying to think if I have any reason to take a different elite receiver here. I do not. We'll take JSN. Excuse me. The team so far is Bijan, Genty, Jonathan Taylor, a wide receiver room of Drake London, Garrett Wilson, and JSN, and then Jalen Hurts holding it down. So penciling in quarterbacks, we're going to have Penix. Justin Fields could be another option here. So I think that would be nice. So Fields, Penix, and Hurts, pretty strong QB room if that's the way we go. And there's also an infinite number of back stacks, and you can take Diggs and May, you can take Golden and Love, you can take, Waddle and Tua. There are lots and lots and lots of different things you can do here. I take a ton of J-Bo. I think that'd be fine. Maybe we'll take a Tet McMillan share on this team, see what happens. Week 17 does matter. It is a 375-person final. So, if you want to tie break towards Week 17 bringbacks and that sort of thing, you absolutely can. I don't know that I go crazy doing that, but it is something that I do consider at least somewhat here. Devonta Smith to stack with Hurts will be the next pick. He likely would come around if I want to take another elite receiver, but I don't necessarily want to risk it. So I'm just going to take Devonta here to make sure that I get Hurts stacked up. So now we've got Hurts, Bijan, Genty, Jonathan Taylor, a wide receiver room of Drake London, Garrett Wilson, JSN, Tet McMillan, and Devonta Smith. We don't have any tight ends yet. That's perfectly fine. If you miss out on the Kittle, McBride, Bowers trio, then I think you really can just push it really far. Interesting. I do like my JMO, and I don't think I need to save room for a back stack. So I'm going to take JMO here. I think that's that these six receivers are probably where we're going to wind it down. We could take another running back. We can look at tight end. We've got Laporta and Hawkinson. Those are pretty decent tight ends here. Maybe we'll queue up Laporta and Hawk. We'll take a tight end next. Looking at running back again. I've got Bijan, Genty, and Taylor, so I can kind of scroll down a bit at running back. Take some lower owned running back darts here. Let's see. Dirty P says Mason Taylor is a much better pick than all those bum wide receivers you chose. Well, thanks, Dirty P. I'm glad I backed into a good pick here. Dirty P says Red Six says I don't take him, just not sure why. It's tough taking a late round rookie tight end. It feels thin, but apparently he's been impressing, and it's often like the pass blocking stuff that can keep rookie tight ends off the field, and it sounds like they're impressed with how he's done that. So I'm kind of in on it. All right, so we've got we're still sitting here with just Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Let's see, how is this looking? Purdy. I don't know that Hawkinson is a huge priority on this team. Excuse me. Probably another. Why did I click Purdy? I didn't mean to click Purdy. I meant to click Justin Fields. Yeah, let's take do we want Caleb or Swift? Let's take Caleb. I think this is more of a little bit of a late season kind of swing. I mean, if we're not getting early season production out of Bijan, Genty, and Taylor, it's like giga over for this team. I don't want to get frozen out at my Fields bet. People will just rip him off unstacked because he's a guy that you don't need to have the pass catchers with. Yeah, see, I don't even know if that guy has a Cardinal or not. We'll take Justin Fields. So we're up to a 2-4-6-1 with Hurts and Fields at QB, Bijan, Genty, JT, and Caleb Johnson at running back, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, JSN, Ted McMillan, Devonta Smith, Jameson Williams at receiver, and then Sam Laporta at tight end. I think this team is pretty nice, but again, it's very hard to build a Badge Bros brawl team that doesn't look good. They're all going to look awesome, and that's part of the fun, but it is fun to kind of build these potentially lower owned stacks here, like this, this Drake London stack that we have going on here. Let's see, who do we want? Tight end. Do we want Ingram? I'm a little torn. I'm going to take another run. You know what I'm doing? A Scatabo in every pot. We're going to take Cam Scatabo here because I'm a slappy and I'm living my truth. And I want Cam Scatabo on the team, and I kind of know how I'm going to end this team. We're going to end this team with Kyle Pitts. We're going to end this team with Mason Taylor. Those are going to be our three tight ends, Laporta, Pitts, and Taylor. For this to work, though, let's make sure we get Penix. If somebody rips off Kyle Pitts, maybe I'll take Pitts ahead of Penix because I'll be a little irked if that happens, and I can still take Bryce Young. I could still make a Bryce Young backstack with McMillan there. At this point, with Penix and with Penix, Bijan, and London off the with Bijan, Pitts, and London off the board, the odds of somebody take Penix are nearly zero. So we'll do that. We'll take Penix here. Red Six says, on another note, I'm frustrated with my 5% A chain. Then my last 5 drafts, I'm picking him first and just grabbing him for. Yeah. Sometimes when you get later into the draft season, you just want to get your exposures where you want them. I do caution, like, you build lineups, not portfolios, if that makes sense. Like, you don't want your individual teams to be bad so your portfolio looks good. And I'm not saying it's bad to take A-Chain in the first, but just like, if you go into a draft with too rigid of a plan, you can end up like kind of missing out on a draft that could actually be awesome because you get some kind of like falling value or good combination, if that makes sense. But I certainly understand, like, I was really low on Lamar Jackson and BBM, so I was just like forcing Lamar teams because I'm like, why do I have 3% Lamar? Like, I don't want 3%. I just, like, for some reason haven't gotten that. All right, so last thing we're gonna do is we're going to take Mason Taylor here. And let's think who's a fun late round running back. Who can we add to this team that's kind of interesting here? All right. I know I said fun and then I queued up Will Shipley. But the theory is we've got this Eagles situation. If something happens to Saquon, like, how many Will Shipley teams are going to be in the Badge Bros Brawl? Not very many. So if somehow this team makes it to the playoffs and Shipley is like the starting running back on the Eagles, then that's pretty darn good. Whereas if I take Tony Pollard and he's hitting my lineup, that means I probably screwed up with Bijan, Genty, Taylor, Caleb, Scatabo. I don't know. I feel like, this is kind of how I like to build. So I've got Hurts, Fields, and Penix. Running back room of Bijan, Genty, Taylor, Caleb Johnson, Cam Scatterbo, Will Shipley. Wide receiver room of Drake London, Garrett Wilson, JSN, Ted McMillan, Devonta Smith, Jamison Williams. And a tight end room of Laporta, Pitts, and Mason Taylor. Maybe it's too cute going Pitts and Taylor, right? Maybe I should have taken, let's look who's still here. Tucker Kraft, undrafted, and Njoku, undrafted. I could have swapped out maybe Mason Taylor for Tucker Kraft, and maybe this team looks and feels a lot better. But the concept is more like you can get these scroll down guys. You don't just have to take who's highest at ADP, and you're going to just get so different. So anyway, I love this contest. I feel like it's super fun. I don't know if it's the best viewing experience because it moves super fast and it's just like drafting all-star teams, but I do appreciate you all hanging out. I had a lot of fun drafting with you all. Again, if you had some fun, or even if you didn't, please like and subscribe to the video. I really appreciate it. I guess I will see you all tomorrow. I'll be over again, lurking in Pete's show, Best Ball Breakfast. But again, thank you all so much for spending the morning here with us. Greg says if you can do 2 tight end team with Laporta, you can for sure do 2 tight end upside swings. Yeah, that's what I was going for. So I appreciate it. Greg, later, gang. Hey, everyone, again, thank you all. I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care.